Hi guys, Freddy here, welcome back to the desktop with another retro RPG. And the last few weeks I've been doing videos based on Dungeons & Dragons. Because I've mentioned in those videos, I've started dungeon mastering D&D again after a break of 30 odd years. And my interest has obviously been back in the setting, so I thought I'd grab some of the books off my shelves and go through those. Now, this week I would like to present this. The Dungeons & Dragons, or Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition Dungeon Master Guide. The newly revised and updated version of the AD&D game provides everything Dungeon Masters need to create thrilling role-playing challenges for intermediate through advanced players ages 10 and up. Now, I believe this is a later version of the printing of the book, because we've got a slightly different TSR logo. If I grab the Player's Handbook, which is still sitting to the side here, you can see that's got the sort of outlined logo, whereas they've become an embossed gold one here, and also for a reason inside. But let's go over to the back cover before we open it. So, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition Dungeon Master Guide. This is the complete guide to being an AD&D game Dungeon Master. Whether you're running a single adventure or masterminding a complete fantasy campaign, the Dungeon Master Guide is an absolute necessity. The AD&D 2nd Edition Dungeon Master Guide puts all the information you need right at your fingertips, in a fresh new format, fully indexed for your convenience. Here you'll learn all there is to know about magical spells and items, as well as monsters, combat, travel, NPCs, treasure, encounters, awarding experience, and more. Now, do we have a copyright on the back here? Still says copyright 1989, but the other reason I believe it's later is because we've got this, and I believe all of these came out much later, because we've got all the different campaign settings, and I'm pretty sure Al-Qadim Dark Sun did not come out well into the run of 2nd Edition D&D. Also, if we flick on a couple of pages here, there's a copyright notice of November 1993, which is definitely a hint this is a later printing. Now, I never dungeon mastered AD&D, which is why I didn't pick up the DMG for a while. I'd like to also comment on the cover. This, while looking very shiny and in very good condition because it was very little used, it's a kind of woven effect in here, which makes it much harder wearing. If you look at, again, my Player's Handbook, it's lasted really well. This has been in a bag and carried many miles. It was just, they made the covers a bit tougher than other role-playing games, and I have to compliment them on that. And we've got the campaign settings. So we've got the Forgotten Realms, which is your standard fantasy world. It mentions Elminster the Sage and Drizzt the Dark Elf, or Drizzit, as some people say. And we've got a bunch of source books there for it, adventures and accessories, one with a Tyrannosaur in it there. We've got Ravenloft, which is the sort of horror campaign, where you journey to Ravenloft for an occasional evening of terror or an extended nightmare. The experience will haunt you forever. So it's a country run by vampires. I don't really know much about it. I've played the Ravenloft adventure, but not in a Ravenloft campaign. From my understanding, it's a valley or a small country separated from the world by magical mists, which allow people from other campaigns to wander in. I seem to remember somebody talking about a campaign where not only did you have fantasy characters, but you had like a modern-day beat cop who turns up and he's got like 6 bullets in his 6-shooter, which is incredibly powerful, but after that he's reduced to using his nightstick as a club. But it's an interesting idea. Dark Sun, which is a devastated D&D world. I believe I've done the Dark Sun campaign as well, or the campaign box, in a previous video. It's a world where magic has wrecked everything, and it's like a large desert. It's a post-apocalyptic version of Dungeons & Dragons, with people living in the wasteland of a magical war rather than a nuclear one. We've got Al-Qadim, which is the Arabian Adventures. Now, I played this in 3rd edition D&D, and it's a whole load of fun. Instead of your standard fantasy races, you've got your Arabic races, but with a fantasy spin boot on them, because you've got elves and dwarves alongside. Greyhawk, which again, I believe, in fact, it's the original D&D campaign setting. 3rd edition was mainly based in Greyhawk, whereas 5th edition, I believe, is mainly based in Forgotten Realms, which is the more larger and more popular world, I have to say. And then we've got Dragonlance, which is something you don't really hear of much anymore, but it's a much more high fantasy world. Lots of people riding dragons around with their dragon lances doing massive damage to each other. A fantastic series of books came out, which really raised the public perception of Dungeons and Dragons at the time. Obviously not much as recent events have, but Dragonlance was a real contender back in the day. But, as I said, I haven't heard anything about it since about 3rd edition. I probably should do some digging. Anyway, we go inside, and we've got a foreword, special thanks to, table of contents, the fine art of being a DM, word about organisation, giving players what they want. So there's a sort of talk about balancing things, different ways of character creation. So we're actually introducing point spend, rolling dice and allocating them. So instead of just rolling 3d6 for each stat, you can roll all the dice at the same time and then go, well, I'm putting these 6s and giving myself an 18 strength, etc. But there's 4 different methods. Oh, sorry, 5, 6. There's 6 different methods. Okay, I didn't even know that. Of buying stats. Advantages and disadvantages to each. Points plus dice. Identifying 2 powerful characters. Dealing with hopeless characters. Wishes and ability scores. As I mentioned in my last video, wishes are the only way to really booting up an ability score in 2nd edition. Plays multiple characters, so it can talk about how you might level up background characters at a certain rate. But just lots of suggestions on how to do things. Stuff we kind of take for granted now, but this was introducing the ideas. Level limits. So, level limits were a thing. Because elves and dwarves were seen as having power beyond humans, elves and dwarves could be limited. So, we can see the humans are U, so they can become any level of anything, right up to 30th level. But character races, elves can only become a 12th level cleric. Dwarves can only become 10th level. Gnomes 9th. Halflings 8th. So to bring in balance to the races, instead of balancing at the start, where the elves and dwarves get their abilities at first level, they're more tough. Dwarves are more rugged and get more hit points. Elves get their charisma and their natural ability with a sword and all that at the start, and then get penalised at the end of the game. Humans start off pretty bad, but can carry on going forever. I don't know how that balances the game. It always struck me as a really stupid idea, but that's how 2nd edition did it. You get your advantages now, and you get punished later. If the Dungeon Master can be bothered taking the campaign to after 10th level, if you'll get punished way down the road. So if each adventure you gain 1 level, and each adventure takes 4 weeks, then the dwarf's going to be punished after 40 weeks of play for being tougher than the human. But if that toughness really counted, then the humans probably died 3 times. 0 level characters, class level and the common man. So just lots of background stuff about the different classes, creating a new character class. So if you want to create ninjas as a character class, it's got ideas here how to introduce that, how alignment is actually dealt with by NPCs, adding new proficiencies and different types of money, equipment by time period, so we can actually introduce guns here. Arquebus, that's the type of gun, isn't it? Bolt case. Let's see, is there a musket or anything? No. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. Maybe I'm remembering the name of something else. It does seem to be available only in the Renaissance. Composite longbows become available in the Middle Ages. Different types of locks that become available. Weapon quality, ornamentation, item saving throws, so when you get fireballed, whether your magical sword melts. Initial wizard spells, how to choose them. And we've just got lots here. Experience, detailing combat, calculating THAC0, initiative system, the different facings, so you can tell whether somebody's flanking somebody or attacking from the rear. Missile combat, your chances of hitting other people, firing into melee, character saving throws, morale. I'm really going to skip through this. I don't want to spend as long on this as I have on the other books. Who's got the treasure, buying magical items. So that's a big part of this book, introducing magical items, because they're not mentioned in the player's handbook at all. So if we can find them, NPC Professions, employee hirelings, spellcasters, quick NPCs, time and movement, terrain, DM's miscellany, lycanthropy, DM's miscellany, doors. So it just kind of lies out, what am I talking about? It lies out various stuff for the DM. Usually going to be more handy after the game, but definitely grabbing these and taking them along to your game so you've got information on hand. Very handy book indeed. So you've got magical item tables, so you can roll up when somebody finds treasure, what they find. Oh, they find a piece of art worth 1,800 gold pieces. They find staves, they find armor. And we go through all of it, different types of potions, different types of scrolls, the magical rings, magical rods, magical staves, more staves, wands, amulets, hooks, braziers, crystal balls, magical drums, because everybody wants a magical drum, don't they? Dusts, flask of curses, magical hats, iron stones, mirrors, pipes. We're getting quite close to the end here, but we've got all details of all sorts of things. So, robe of vermin, a magical seeming garment will radiate a dim aura of enchantment. If it's donned, it will convey some magical power at that time. Protection +1. It doesn't really describe what it's like. I thought it was covered in rat heads or something like that. Oh, it's cursed. That's what it is. The wearer immediately suffers a multitude of bites from the insects that magically infest the garment. And we've got Scarab of Death. Sheet of Smallness. We've got armor and shields. And skipping onwards, magical weapons, so weapons of speed. We've got the Holy Avenger, should be in here somewhere. Hornblade. Sword +2, Giant Slayer. And on to the finality, which is Weapon Ego. And Intelligent Weapons. I haven't really noticed that in later versions, but a big thing in 2nd edition was intelligent items, most especially weapons. So you could have a magical sword which had an ego. So a sword which would urge you on to kill undead because it's an undead killing sword. And if it was aligned differently to you and it had loads of abilities, it would have a strong ego and it would have a chance of forcing you to do those things. It was a thing that I absolutely loved in 2nd edition, but I haven't seen in later editions at all. Maybe because I haven't really dungeon mastered them and I've skipped over them. But that's the DMG 2nd edition. A very nice book, very, very handy at the time. Obviously, it's slightly out of date and flawed now, but they got a lot of things right with 2nd edition, which is why it lasted so long. Anyway, thank you very, very much for watching, as always. Please like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. But most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye.